Hello traders and welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 135. It's Iliya here, and as always I'm really grateful to have you on the Trading Fanatic channel. And this week specifically in this video, it's the first week of the month, and usually after the monthly candle closes I do a monthly analysis. So in this video, we're really going to focus and try to identify where can the market potentially be headed from the highest time frame perspective. We're going to have some practice on top-down analysis. And of course, we're going to have a look how the market developed this week, what kind of opportunities we have, and what we can potentially expect for the upcoming week. I am very excited about this volume because guess what? I'm running a giveaway every single month, right? On this monthly outlook and setup. So the winner for this month is, drum rolls, Mr. Afolarin Godwin. I hope I pronounced this correctly or almost correctly, brother, but thank you so much for the support you have been giving me for years. I remember your name, I remember your picture for a very long time, so I want to thank you by inviting you to the Fanatic community and by giving you access to my private programs, which actually are just being revamped with some amazing stuff. So I can't wait to take your trading to the next level. So once again, congratulations, and I will be waiting for you to contact me. All right. So as I said, right now, you better buckle up, everyone, because we are going to have a very long analysis, really try to look into all the details. But before we start, make sure you are subscribed and turn on the notification bell in order not to miss all the future updates, because I'm going to start posting more. My goal is to post at least one educational video or at least the trading setups breakdown during the week so that you actually have more content to enjoy. And yeah, and of course, I want to let you know about an amazing broker that is cedarforex.com. It is great. It has low spreads. You can trade many instruments on it, but make sure to pick their eco account, which also has low spreads. But of course, you're going to pay a little bit of a commission. But every single lot that you trade goes towards planting 10 trees. So I really love this initiative. I'm supporting them. Make sure to check them out. Check all the links down in the descriptions. And also for each and every pair, I have specific chapters, specific timestamps, so that it's much easier to navigate through the video. Right now, buckle up and let's get started. Alright, as always, let's get started with a Dixie. So pretty much this week and the beginning of this month is very tricky, and we're going to have a little bit of a hard time to actually determine a very specific bias, because of course we have all of those things that are happening within the economy. And this week we had some very important news releases which actually made it a little bit harder to trade. For me personally, I actually had a losing week. I'm gonna show you on EU later. But yes, we had a massive run to the upside on the DXY last week, and then this week it just plummeted to the downside. So again, it is a little bit hard to actually have any expectation, but let's try to figure out the bias. Okay, so currently we are on the monthly time frame. So let's again just give a little bit of an introduction of where we currently are. So we, from the top right there, we pushed to the downside, we pulled back, we created a new lower low right there. So this makes this our major lower high, and guess what? This one was broken. So after this one was broken, we are pretty much in an uptrend, and what we would expect to happen is potentially this high right there to get taken out for a new higher high. But the market right there stopped. So this was the Corona stuff right there. We can see a massive candle right here. The market stopped right there, probably respected these wicks and started to massively run to the downside. So then what is next? If this was a push and a whole pullback, we should have expected the market to create a new lower low, but it didn't. So what we have is the market also shifting from the downside and shifting from the top. So what is this? Well, it's an overall consolidation. Okay, to keep it even simpler, we're currently in kind of a range, right? The market is respecting the top and it's also respecting the bottom. So this is pretty much a range. So right now, if we zoom in, let's have a look what is happening more recently. Okay, so we had a massive pump to the downside, pullback, push lower, pullback. This is a lower high. The market attempted to make a new lower low, but as you can see, it failed. All right, so what is this? We marked this as a shift formation, so a failure to make a new lower low, and then the market exploded and actually broke the major lower high. Why is this a major one? Because this is the lower high that actually broke structure. This is a pullback, so this is internal, kind of minor structure, just a pullback. Then the market pushed, failed to make a new low. So this one is not a lower high because it did not break structure, right? So this one is still the major. So then we can see actually that the market pulled back right there, rejected for 1 month, rejected for another month, and then we just exploded and actually broke the structure. Okay, so we can see that shorter term, we are kind of bullish. Okay, we reached the top last month. We reached the top right there. We had a big candle right here, and of course this candle was also had a little pullback, so it looked like it pulled back, then it tried to push higher, and of course our expectations were to actually continue with this uptrend. But we can see the beginning of this month is already looking quite bearish, so we're actually yet to see if the market is gonna break the low, or is this just a pullback for the market right now to just reject and start pumping into the highs and start creating new higher highs. Of course, this is mainly dependent on the economy as well, how the dollar is doing, where investors are positioning their money, right? So this is what we have to see. If we also explore the quarterly time frame, so what we can see if we just zoom out is that overall we are kind of bearish. Okay, so this is way back in time. But what I also explored is that we have this little quarterly supply zone, which is more like a drop-based drop. Then we actually pulled back right there. And how did we actually tap inside? By creating a range, manipulation of the range, and then we actually broke structure. So this was our major high low. It was broken. Then this introduced a major lower high. And as you can see, it actually got respected right there on the quarterly time frame. Then again, we tried to push up, but we failed to break the low. All right, so pretty much, if we also look at the highest time frame that I'm gonna ever look at, we can see that it is more bearish, right? So we had a push, we had a pullback. The market attempted to make a new low. It failed. Right now it's pulling back. Can we make another attempt to push lower? Is it possible to have a top of 88? Well, this is what we have to see in the next couple of months, maybe even year, okay? But again, monthly time frame, as I told you, looks slightly bullish. For me, this little zone right there was not entirely retested, right? We just actually didn't even tap it with a wick. So let's try to explore what is happening on the weekly. And this is where it actually gets tricky, okay? Because again, we were bullish, and what did I tell you about this little zone right there? So this for me was my hard time frame supply. Why? Well, pretty much this is because the market last time pulled back, stopped, and then massively continued to the downside and also broke structure. I really also like this candle because just before it dropped, it kind of took a little bit of liquidity. It just broke the weekly high right there, and then it just plummeted. So this makes it even stronger. And then as you can see, the market beautifully pulled back right there, exactly to this candle with a massive bullish candle last week. And then this week, we are just engulfing this one completely. So this makes it really hard. Why? Because we also had last week a break of structure, which creates this as our major low. So I can actually mark it as a full hourly low, or yeah, it's not full hourly low. Maybe let's remove it to a weekly low, right? So pretty much technically, as long as the market stays above this zone, above this level right there, we are technically bullish, okay? So what I would like to do is to potentially mark this wick, so then we can examine this one on the daily, okay? And what we can see on the daily is that, of course, we can make the zone a little bit smaller, probably. We can just take this candle. We can, of course, take this candle right there. Yeah, it's really up to you. I'm just going to take this one to keep the zone smaller. But once again, what we have is last week, the market opened 24th of January, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullish days. Well, the last one was slightly bit indecision. This week we open and we have straight 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th day just rejected a little bit. So 4 bullish days, 4 bearish days, and even with bigger moves. Okay, so pretty much if I measure this week, we moved to the top 180 pips, and from the top to the bottom we moved much bigger, right? 200 or 2000? No, it's 230 pips. Okay, so we can see that the momentum is starting to pick up to the downside, and we pretty much expected the market to react from somewhere right there because we dropped our range, 50% beautifully tapped on the daily, right? But the market just keeps continuing going down. But still, again, just to bring back to the point, we are still above this zone. So as long as we remain above, then we can still keep bullish, okay? But then is it possible for the market to break this zone, to actually come and retest this very good range, and then to potentially head higher? Well, this is what we have to see after a couple of weeks, I guess. So then the question is, okay, so what is actually our bias? Well, so far, long term, it is bullish, right? On the weekly, we saw the quarterly it's bearish, right? We saw that the weekly is also respecting this level right now. So according to me, if we actually break this level, I will be looking to take sells. I will be really mindful of this guy, but I really like this delivery right there, which I think it's a very nice manipulation. We had a range, the market pulled back, which was a beautiful long, took out the high. So a lot of buyers are right now entering into the market, and we have this massive sell-off, right? So if we have actually a break, we can have a pullback, and then we can start continuing lower. So I'm starting to frame a little bit of sells, right? But I'm also mindful of the buys that can occur from this level, which is around 95.0, okay? Taking all of this into consideration, you can see how hard it is actually to determine, are we bullish or are we bearish? Just because the last 2 weeks were actually very tricky. For me personally, the market got really trending, not pullbacks. I was very unlucky this week on Monday to have 2 beautiful missed trades. Then I tried to actually go long. I got stopped out on the longs during the ECB, but yeah, I'm gonna have a look on EU on that. But if we just drop to the 4-hourly time frame, it was beautiful development on Monday. So we had a push, a pullback, higher high, break of the last higher low, pullback, lower high, started to continue lower. Then around London session, or I think it was New York or somewhere right there, we just went to tap within this wick, which was a lower time frame supply, right, on a lower time frame. And then since then, we just plummeted to the downside, right? We had a beautiful pullback right there on the 3rd of February, and then another massive impulsive leg after the ECB. And right now we are just right there at the bottom, creating a little bit of a pullback, okay? So if the daily is gonna turn bullish, first of all, I would like to see the 4-hourly turn bullish, right? Because again, it's fractal, the time frame, the market is fractal. So again, if I'm trading a daily leg, then I would like to see the 4-hourly turn bullish. If I'm trading a 4-hourly leg, then I would like to see the 15-minute or the hourly turn, okay? So pretty much my major lower high right now on the 4-hourly is this level. This is my range from the top to the bottom, and the market actually just tapped 50% during NFP, and we're just pulling back a little bit right now. So what could happen, okay? I would love to actually take a short. I really like to follow this momentum. So if the market opens in a bullish manner and starts tapping into these levels, I will be looking to short with targets this lower low, and of course with targets the daily demand. If the market opens bearish, then I can be mindful that potentially this can be a bearish manipulation to tap into this one. And then from here, I'm going to be looking for a shift on the lower time frame, and then potentially we can start targeting longs. Okay. And of course, the third scenario will be just a complete break of this weekly zone. And after this one breaks, then we can definitely confirm that potentially even the higher time frames like the weekly and the daily are turning bearish on the dollar. So remember, we were quite bullish on the dollar with the tapering and with everything. So again, longer term, it should actually continue higher. So I keep this in my mind. But of course, I'm also aware of the sells, okay, because we have some massive selling pressure right there, okay? So again, to wrap it up, in order to keep it simple, if you find yourself confused, just zoom in on the 4-hourly, because the 4-hourly is a combination of, like, you see how the market is developing on the daily, but you're not on the lower time frames as well. So you really get the big picture while it's not that big. So it's perfect for intraday trading. So for me right now, the market is bearish. We have a massive dump, we have a pullback, so I can actually get ready to short the market. I would first, again, love to see a little pullback. If I'm given a short right there, I'm gonna take a short. If the market starts to drop to the downside, then of course I can continue taking shorts until I'm actually wrong and until the market reverses. But for now, this is my outlook on the DXY. I am bearish. Shorter term, I'm gonna be bearish as we enter into this week, but of course, as the week goes by, my bias can change. So I would recommend that you stay tuned for my Tuesday morning outlook on Telegram. All right. So this is the DXY. Let's explore EU and if we can actually get more context about where actually the DXY can head. This week, euro dollar was expecting some heavy news, especially the interest rate, deposit rate decision, and also press conference and speeches from the central bank. And in fact, the central bank was really hawkish, which means bullish. They were very positive. Inflation is actually being battled very nicely. And we saw a massive run on Euro USD to the upside. All right. Which I'm really pissed off because there were some amazing setups on Monday. And then pretty much the market did not provide much opportunity to enter for me personally. I had difficulties to actually find an entry, and I actually had 3 losses this week on Euro USD. So my February is not starting very good, but we have a whole month ahead of us. So we get focused and we know that long term, we're going to get the losses back. All right. So if we start from the monthly time frame, building a little bit of a picture, I'm just going to use the brush tool. We had a little consolidation right there. We can see that the market liquidated right there, and then we massively initiated higher, which caused a break of structure. Then of course we had this very corrective pullback down. We went all the way down towards this range. We started impulsing into the highs, but the market failed to actually tackle and to break above this high, which was supposed to be taken out because it's kind of a push, pullback, high low formation. We should be making a new higher high. But the market failed and it stopped right there, and it pretty much shifted also on the monthly time frame, because if you zoom in, so we pretty much had a sequence of a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. The market pushed, failed to break, so this is a shift formation, and then we broke below the major higher low, which is this one. Why is this not a major one? Because it did not cause a break of structure, so it's minor. We broke this one, and right now we're just heading lower, okay? But also if we put this on a longer perspective, we had this kind of zone where the market really initiated very strongly into the highs, okay? Then we can also take this as a range, right? The market dipped below 50%, tapped into this zone right there, and then depending on how you actually draw your demand or your zone, personally, I was looking at it like this with the bearish candle. You can also take it like this, and if we take it like this, it pretty much tapped, okay? We also had this as a little structure. It also retested. So the biggest question is the market ready to commit, right? We had January pretty much rejected into the top, rejected into the bottom, closed bearish. But then this month, you can see the month actually just opened. The market did not even create a wick to the downside. It's just very small, and it's already about to take the monthly high. It actually took it out. Yeah, I remember it actually just wicked it by a little bit, and we had a little bit of a response after this on Friday. But can we continue higher? This is the question. It actually looks good. And if I go to the quarterly as well, just to have a little bit of a higher time frame, push, pullback, overall kind of bullish market in this push and a pullback, but we don't really care what happened in 2002. Let's focus on what is happening right now. So the market had a massive run to the downside. It pulled back, it faked the lows right there, as we saw, and then it very strongly initiated higher. Then we pulled back and we actually respected this zone from the quarterly. Then we tried to push higher, but we actually failed to fulfill this high. The market is right now pulling back, and it's still remaining this bullishness coming from the bottom. So we can again expect the market to start heading higher, maybe to tackle first 1.23 and then even to go for 1.26 almost. Okay, so we can see that slightly bit bullishness. I really like this impulse and this pullback. The impulse took place with 3 candles. The pullback has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 already. So which means that the buyers are in control over the sellers. So again, I can see some buyers already into this market. And then again, we had this very big push. We had a very nice pullback that we traded shorts all the way down. And right now the market is tapping into this level. First, it responded from this little range. It responded for the whole November and December. Then we actually took the liquidity below it. We tapped into this level. And then guess what? Last week, we had a massive sell-off. And this week, we're having a big bullish engulfing candle that already actually attacked the high, which is supposed to be a lower high. Why? Because the market broke structure right there. So this is our major lower high. So of course, as long as we remain below the major lower high, we're bearish. But I can see that we're already attacking this one. So if this one actually breaks, we are having a weekly change of the trend change. And then of course, we can start expecting buyers. Okay, so as you can see, we're starting to frame a little bit of a bullish bias on Euro USD, which means that the sell bias that we had on the DXY could be very well playing out. Okay, on the daily, it is just ridiculous. So we had a drop. I was looking for sales at first, but as you can see, the market just opened 31st of January. Very little pullback, very little development right there where I actually missed the longs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullish days after 5 bearish days. Okay, so this is unreal. The momentum is extremely into the upside. And actually the high has already been taken by very little, but it has been taken. So we pretty much can say that this zone did not get respected and we can already start framing longs. Okay, let's see. So if we just simply drop to the 4-hourly time frame again, so I actually don't have my trades, but I had 2 missed trades. In fact, this pullback wick, I had an entry right there, but it didn't trigger me in. This right there, I was on the 1 minute right here. I believe it didn't trigger me in. Then I took a short after I took a short from right there. So I was actually running a nice trade, but then it just pushed on me. So why did I take this short? I'm not going to go into great detail regarding my trade this week because it's going to take so much time, because we had this previous daily high. The Asian range was right there, and we also had a beautiful 4-hourly supply right here. So the market very beautifully tapped inside right there, and I was into shorts right there, but it just pulled back and then just massively exploded to the upside. So since that moment, I actually knew that the market is potentially bullish, right? And then I actually took a long just before this happened right there. So I actually took it somewhere right here. Yeah, I took a very nice long, actually. I think it was from right there. So let me actually show you. I think I remember where it actually was. Yes, my long was exactly from right there. My stop loss was 2.5 pips. So I was running this long right there. Why? Because again, I expected then the market to go higher. Where did this one go right now? Let me go to the 15. Yep. So pretty much again, we had a massive run into the highs. The market pulled back. It also, I believe, manipulated below the Asian low. Yes, beautifully during London. Taps into a level on the left. So I'm looking for the longs. I saw the shift also on the 1 minute and also on the hard time frame than that. So I entered from right there after a break and retest. It was looking really good. It reached kind of almost 4R. I almost took some partials, but then it just massively liquidated. So this was, I didn't go, I actually took a reduced stop loss on this one. So the loss wasn't big, right? So I took a reduced stop loss on this one right there. And yeah, this was another, this was actually my first loss. I think I took some more. Yeah, I think I actually later took another long from right there or a little bit later, but I pretty much had 2 long losses, because I tried to take the long from here, but pretty much I think I got stopped out, and I traded before the ECB. So later I missed out on this move. And yeah, pretty much this is it for me. I tried to long it. I tried to short it at first, 1 loss. Then I took a loss on the longs. And then on Friday, I did not trade because it was NFP, right? So very, very, very tricky week. But once again, if we just get back to the analysis without going too deep into the trades, massive bull run. Where is pretty much the strongest demand that I see? It's this whole range right there, because this is where like we accumulated and then we massively exploded from there. So what I'm simply gonna do is I'm gonna drop my range like this. I'm gonna be looking for the market to pull back, which again, what makes sense to be traded right now? Potentially shorts, if the 15-minute provides, and actually the 15-minute is starting to provide a little bit of a shorts. Like we had a lovely long actually, to be honest, from right there. Took out the high, then massively pulled back, pushed to the downside, broke all kind of structure, and right now it's in a pullback phase. So pretty much if I start seeing the market respecting supply, I do think we can start having some shorts on EU on Monday, Tuesday, but then potentially as we pull back to the downside, then I will be looking for some potential longs targeting the highs. Okay. So overall framing a long bias on EU, which means a short bias on DXY. We can see the DXY is already pulling back towards this zone right there, while EU is kind of having a little bit more space to pull back. But if both of those pull back, so EU pulls back to the downside, DXY pulls back to the upside, I think the correlation works pretty well together. So guys, let's see. NFP is just over. The month has just started. So let's see what kind of setups we're going to get. The market is already rolling. So make sure to also stay tuned for my Tuesday analysis, where we're going to see Monday play out, and then I'm going to let you know what I expect for the remaining of the week. Let's have a look at Euro Yen. So what we can immediately see is that the Euro is strong across the board, right? So pretty much this week, and I can say actually this month, because the month just opened and we're already printing a bullish engulfing candle on the monthly, okay? So pretty much if we also just have a little outlook right there, we can see that overall the momentum is to the upside. Since here we had a very nice push, corrective pullback, very nice push. The market stopped for a little bit, pretty much reacting from this little supply zone. But again, what did I tell you about supply zones like this? They tend to be just a reaction for the market to pull back to cause a new higher low. Did we had a higher low? I do think so, because if I drop our range, there is our push impulse, there is our correction. 50% was perfectly met. We actually consolidated for quite a while right there on EJ. Actually, since we tapped right there in August, we have been stuck in this range. So is the market finally ready to commit and attack the high? Let's see. This is what we're going to see potentially this month or in the next 2 months. Okay. I really like the weekly development because we had a little bit of a battle between supply and demand. Let me actually illustrate what I mean. So we had this push to the downside that actually caused the break of this structure right there. So what does this create? It creates a supply level right there, which means that this high is strong and the market should hold and it should potentially continue to make a new lower low. But did we have this? No. So pretty much then we had this kind of low, which is not really a higher low because it's not break structure, but we can see that the market pushed, it pulled back, and it's already making a new higher high right there, right? So we can start framing some long setups, right? So if we utilize this knowledge, then we can say that we have potentially a new higher high right there. So if we start dropping onto the day, let's see what is happening. So we can see that right here, the market pretty much had this zone, which it very beautifully respected, right? We had a push, pullback, the market consolidated for a little bit right there. Pretty much, yeah, a lot of the time in January, we were sitting right there. Then on the 31st of January, which is actually the beginning of this week, we just had this massive bullish engulfing candle, 2 days of little slowdown, and then we just exploded with the ECB decision, okay? So I personally would not go against this momentum, all right? So what could happen right now is we can have a reaction once again for the market to potentially pull back and create a higher low. In terms of the daily range, well, then yes, of course, we would like to grab it from the lowest point to the highest point. We would love to see a 50%. Let's see how the 4 hour is doing. Yeah, pretty much this is just a massive bull run right there. It's just massive. So how do we trade this one? Well, pretty much we have to wait for some sort of a pullback, which I don't think it's gonna take place all the way down there. Okay, in legs like this, we can sometimes expect the 38.2, which is right there. And I don't see any sort of demand levels to actually be longing from, except from this kind of big guy right there. So what can also happen is we can have a pullback, which might not actually read as anything, and then we can have a new higher high. So after this happens, we have a brand new higher low right there. So then what we have to do is we just have to continue with the overall trend, okay? So I would advise you not to go too big on shorts because the market can just create a very brief pullback right now and then continue going. So as soon as we have a new higher high, then I'm just going to continue following the trend, knowing that overall we might be attacking this high right there and this high, okay? So let's see how this one is going to play out. Potentially at the beginning of the week, you can start playing some shorts if you get a nice reversal pattern, which we do not have right now. The market is just consolidating on the top. So potentially if on the hourly or if on the 15-minute we start trending down a little bit and respecting structure, we can take a couple of shorts, hopefully to ride it towards the 50%, right? But do not go too big on this retracement trade because again, as I told you, we can just pull back a little bit and then we can just bump into the highs. Okay, so EJ, according to me, is bullish, which also supports bullishness on EU. So what we have to wait for is a pullback. So let's wait for the pullback, wait for higher low formation, and then just go with this beautiful flow to the upside. All right, let's have a look at the Aussies, starting from AU. So this one is slightly bit difficult right now. Why? Because we had this monthly higher low formation, right? It is this one, and we tried to long from here a couple of times. So we tapped inside with long. Then the next month we tried to long again, but we failed with this wick. We actually closed bearish. Then we had 1 month that we actually thought the market was reversing, but then the next month we just actually rolled down. Then we had a little pullback. Then actually last month was bearish, right? So pretty much I can say that AU looks more bearish than bullish on the monthly. Okay, if we just very quickly check the quarterly, yeah, even the quarterly is kind of bearish, right? So we had a massive pump to the downside. We have a very nice corrective pullback. Then the market continues, breaks structure to the downside right there. Then this makes this our major lower high. And as you can see, the market actually retested it. And it's kind of on the way down, but in a very corrective manner. From the downside, we also have some massive bullishness. And this also looks like a pullback, okay, for the market to continue higher. So is this quarterly supply right there just a reaction for the market to later push into the highs? Well, we shall see, but I don't currently see the longs, okay? So if I just quickly back on the monthly, we're just kind of in this little range. And can the market have more downside potential? Could be. Okay, so let's see if this is going to happen. Therefore, let's examine what is happening actually right now. Okay, so once again, the weekly tapped right there, respected, reacted. It looked like a higher high, then we just broke. So we're currently in a bearish market. What actually caused the break of the structure, it is this lower high formation right there. The market did not pull back all the way higher, but we pretty much retested 50%, which is sometimes all we need. And we're right now on the way down towards creating a new lower low, and we pretty much just faked the low, or we just wicked it. And this week we had kind of a pullback, okay? And this is an inside bar. So this is very important to actually bring to your attention. It is an inside bar on the weekly, which is very strong. So we can have the mother candle high and the mother candle low, right? And we can expect an attack of both of those zones, okay? And personally, just looking at where the momentum is going right now and what is the overall narrative of this market, I do think we can attack the low, okay? Immediately actually starting into the week. And again, on the daily, we can see a massive pump to the downside, very nice corrective pullback. If we also explore what happens on the daily, we can see how actually the sellers just took control over the buyers, even on the daily. So we have this very nice pump into the highs that caused a new high right there. The market pulled back, it tried to respect it, very nicely tried to push, but it just respected this high right there, and it just rolled to the downside. So what then this created is this higher time frame supply, which did not get tapped, right? But we had a new one right there, which was also an inside bar, massive expansion to the downside on the daily. Even on the daily, we did not have a body close. This is not very nice. But we pretty much all we had is a push to the downside, a very nice pullback. The market kind of rejected right there for 2 days. And then on Friday, we had a nice move to the downside. So we can see that AU is already making the move lower. And then us framing a sell DXY and a buy Euro USD might not be the best thing to do. But let's see what is happening. Well, again, as I told you, pretty much I consider this market to be bearish. We went all the way up towards this zone. We tapped inside first time, we rejected. There were a couple of shorts to be taken. I think AU was actually pretty tough to be traded this week because yeah, it first tapped, reacted, so you could have been jumping into shorts big time right there. But then it came in again, it manipulated, right? Then it consolidated once again, and then pretty much on Friday it decided to sell off, okay? And it broke this structure, which introduces new supply, which is this one. Or you can of course also take this big wick, right? If you wish to have a bigger level like that, it's pretty much the same, right? And we're right now very nicely in this push phase. And if we frame it also on the daily and the weekly that it's going down right now, well, pretty much this pair looks bearish to me, right? And I'm not gonna go into correlation and stuff because Aussie USD is the Aussie is not included into the DXY. So pretty much having a bearish DXY and a bearish AU is not a big problem. Okay. So currently the market is responding from this little 4-hourly demand, right? Let me make it blue. Come on. And we're potentially initiating a pullback right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my range 50%. The first area that I see is right there at the 50%. And of course, we can explore this on the 50-minute. It could be just a very little range. We can just take the range like this. So this can potentially be a first area that we can start looking for shorts on AU. And then of course, the second area will be a potentially, a potential nice pullback into the highs, lower high formation, and then we can even attack the lows right there. So let me know what you think about Aussie shorts. Just doing this top-down analysis really shows me that it is overall sell bias. We see how the market is creating lower highs and lower lows, and potentially right now we can be attacking the low. So personally on the 4H, I will be looking for a pullback, lower high formation, and then to see the move lower. So this is my outlook on Aussie USD. And of course, let's explore Aussie JPY quickly. Overall as well, in a bullish market, we had a push, we had a pullback, but the market already kind of attacked the monthly high. It just wicked above it. Then we immediately initiated a pullback to the downside, which was an inside bar. The mother candle low was taken, but then we had a massive bullish candle. Then the next month we have a bearish candle. Right now we're just opening in the consolidation kind of. So it's still stuck in this range on the monthly, which is nothing too much to extract, but we're overall bullish, right? We're overall bullish. The market has actually met its range, pushed into the highs, and then pretty much our new range can be classified as this. And as long as the market stays above this guy, we can keep longing. And if we check in on the weekly, there is kind of our weekly range right there. The market pulled back all the way down, but even failed to break above this zone. It just wicked it by 1 pip. And yeah, we're trying to make the move higher. Right now we're pulling back. So yeah, this one is tough. This one is tough. It's just stuck in this range, and even on the weekly time frame, Let's try to look on the daily if we can build more narrative. Well, what I can see is that it's kind of respecting these sort of demand levels right there. Demand level respected right there as well. We can take it a little bit bigger. Push, change the structure right there, pulled back higher high, higher low, potentially headed right now for a new higher high. But if we start building up bullishness on AJ, then AU was actually bearish. So this is immediately starting to not look very good. Okay, so if we zoom in on the daily time frame, we can see that the market had a very strong daily demand right there. It responded, it failed. Right now it's pulling back. Man, this pair is really tough. It is really tough. And if we take this supply, so this is why potentially we're responding right now, right? Because there was a little battle between supply and demand. The market tapped inside, reacted very strongly, reversed, made a new lower low, then it pulled back. It actually faked the high, and right now it's responding again to the downside. So if we also frame that AU is bearish, look how AU actually looks more bearish, right? While this one, it also looks kind of bearish, but it's a little bit more bullish, and this is mainly due to the JPY factor of it, because yeah, the JPY could actually be pretty weak. So this makes Aussie JPY a little bit stronger. Okay, if we actually examine this one on the 4 hourly, we had the short-term bullish trend, push, pullback, push, higher high. So where is our major higher low formation? Well, it's pretty much this guy right there. And what we can see is that this one right now is invalidated. So we did not really close with a body close below, which is what I would have loved to see. But we invalidated it, which pretty much also creates a new supply on top. So again, looking also at AU and just examining what is the shorter term outlook on AJ as well, we can see that it's overall bearish, right? And the 4 hourly right here is just starting to flip to the downside. We have taken some little bit of liquidity, which is, no, it's not the monthly high, but it's this little wick right there. We took it out. We're responding. So what I'm interested to take on AJ is a pullback, lower high formation, and then potentially taking it to the downside. But then as for hard time frame targets, I would be careful because this market is in an overall kind of range, right? It is looking slightly bullish, right? It's looking slightly bullish. On this push, it failed to break the high. It's right now pulling back, so we can still attack the highs. But currently, if you just ask me, this one is overall bearish. So let's see how it's gonna go. If we really start breaking above these very strong supply areas, which is the first one is this one, only then I'm gonna start framing longs. Right now I am shorts, and although I don't trade this pair, I will be looking for shorts together with AU. So let's see how the Aussies are actually gonna play together in the upcoming month. Let's have a brief look at the NZDs. So on the monthly time frame, this one on the shorter term, so pretty much since January 2021, we have been in this kind of, it looks like a pullback because it's not really a trending market, but it looks like a push from the downside. And right now it looks like we're pulling back to the downside. And possibly if we go to the quarterly time frame, yeah, we massively pumped into the highs, and right now we're in this kind of pullback, but still the market overall on the quarterly is in a push, pullback, potentially about to make a push face to the downside. Okay. So again, you can see how you can start confusing yourself if you try to look at too many time frames. So again, my biggest tip is just to focus on a couple, okay, depending on the type of trader you are. So right now we had this very strong demand zone right there, right? And we're pretty much still inside it. We tried to tap first, reacted, tapped second time, reacted. Right now, massive bearish engulfing candle on the monthly time frame. And we're starting to react, but I'm losing hopes that actually this level is going to hold. So I think I'm going to have a more bearish outlook on NZD USD. If I drop to NJ, we can see that this one is still kind of maintaining the higher lows. And you can immediately see the difference. This one is making an uptrend, making a new higher high, while this one right there is starting to make a downtrend already. So we can see that there is kind of a divergence between the JPYs and the USDs. Dropping onto the weekly time frame, well, I can simply say that this one is bearish, right? We had a very nice push, we had a very nice pullback, we had a very nice push to the downside as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark a weekly range just to make more sense of it. We also have a very nice weekly supply. We can even type it as weekly. Very simple. Then if we drop to the daily time frame, we're currently in this pullback phase. So I do think this can have some longs into the daily zones, right? So we can have actually, this is a daily zone right there within the whole weekly zone. So let's see actually how the forward is looking like, because we can already start initiating the shorts as well. Yeah, because you can see that the market pretty much played within the 4 hourly range, which actually started from the top right there, ended at the bottom. It went all the way up to tap inside this major lower high. We tapped inside, and then if we actually have a look at where is the major higher low, it was this one. Why? Because we have a push, pullback, higher high, break of structure right there, higher high. So this one is our major higher low. It got broken right now, and it looks pretty much like Aussie USD. Okay, so what I'm going to be looking for is for a pullback, lower high formation to hold, drop to a lower time frame, wait for a shift, and then potentially to attack the lows. So this is my outlook on NZUSD, but again, keep in mind that we have a weekly leg, daily leg as well, and there is some potential that we can actually pull back a little bit deeper right here before committing to the downside. But currently, the 4-hourly time frame has changed, so this is my setup. This is what I'm looking at. And if we also have a brief look at NJ, which on the monthly time frame does not make a lot of sense, but on the weekly, we had a push, we had a pullback, and we had a push, which created a lower low. So this one immediately turns into a more bearish market rather than bullish. But again, we are in this push phase, and so far we only have 1 week of a pullback. So again, is it possible for the NZDs to retrace a little bit higher? I do think so. Or is it just 1 week of a pullback enough to start committing to a new lower low? As you can see on the daily time frame, like we have this massive leg down. We had a little bit of a pullbacks right there, pretty much choppy price right there for January, and right now, yeah, February just opened. The question is, can we have a higher pullback towards the 50%, or maybe to revisit some of these zones right there? Could be. But if we drop to the 4-hourly time frame, yes. So there is the difference, guys. So pretty much NZUSD is already breaking the higher low, while this one is just in a beautiful uptrend. And this is mainly because of JPY. Okay, so pretty much this for me is the major higher low. On this one, we are breaking structure to the upside. We're in a push and a pullback. So yeah, there is a divergence between the two pairs. I am bullish on NZD-JPY simply because the structure is bullish. We're breaking the highs. We're creating higher lows and higher highs, right? Well, this one is already reversing. This one. Right, we had the same situation with AJ. While AJ is kind of starting to break, AU is already on the move lower. Okay, so let's see how those ones are gonna go. Be careful if you're trading the JPYs. Yeah, but pretty much this is what I'm looking for. If this is about to go bearish, then maybe we can have a reaction, then a fail to make a new high, break of the higher low right there, and then potentially I can start looking for shorts. This will be my potential setup. But of course, right now, if you are trading this pair, I would suggest that you look for longs, because we're just tapping into this zone. We can have a little bit of a manipulation down on market open, then look for your shift and then attack the highs. Okay, so not very happy with the divergence between the two pairs, but NZD-JPY is bullish, NZD-USD is bearish. So let's see, of course, what happens. And of course, utilize your trading strategies to make sure to strike according to your trading plan. Let's explore USD-JPY, which is the cause for all the JPYs being slightly more bullish than their USD opposites, right? So pretty much the last month closed as an indecision, very big indecision doji, all right? And then this month opened, it pushed to the downside, and it's kind of having an overall bullish sentiment to it so far. So yeah, 2 things or even 3 can happen. The market this month can actually create an inside bar, which is not very likely. We can either attack the highs right now to create a higher high, or we can attack the lows of the previous monthly highs and low. Okay, framing a bias, well, it is overall bullish, right? It's not very clear in terms of market structure, but the momentum is to the upside. Okay, let's start dropping to the weekly. Well, yeah, pretty much this one right there, I wasn't really happy but with this close, but yeah, it is pretty much a body close, so it is a structure break, which makes our major higher low this one right there. Right, and yeah, pretty much as long as we stay above this level, we're bullish. The market pushed, we pulled back, and it looks like we held as a new higher low. And right now we had a massive bullish engulfing candle in January, the final week of January, and right now the first week of February is actually a little pullback and also an inside bar. Okay, so again, we're very important, and again, I think we have kind of a monthly candle high and low. We have a high right now, an inside bar of the weekly. So it definitely makes sense for this one to rocket and actually take both highs. Okay, so framing a bullish bias on UJ, which also suggests that the JPY pairs will be more bullish than bearish. Okay, which might make it a little bit hard. On the daily time frame, we can see that we had a push, we had a little pullback right there. We tried to push lower, but we actually kind of failed, right? And then we broke above this high. Then we initiated a pullback on the daily. We did not come all the way down to this level. We just kissed it, actually. We just kissed it. And right now we are on the push phase towards creating a new high, which is this one. So again, all the confluences, all the time frames right now are just telling me longs on USD/JPY. So I don't see any shorts in it right now. On the 4-hourly time frame, we had a push, we had a beautiful pullback. The last lower high that broke structure is this one. So this one is right now broken. We pushed, we pulled back, we massively impulsed once again. And yeah, this wick, I can use this wick potentially as demand, or you can just take the whole range. What did I tell you about wicks? They usually tend to get retested, at least the 25% of the wick. So what I'm going to be looking for is for a pullback and then potentially continuation higher to target a new high. Okay. So this is it, as simple as that. UJ actually looks pretty good. This is my area of interest right there. I'm not going to be looking for a lower one because this is where we pushed, we pulled back, we then impulsed again. So right now the market is reacting from some of these little supply zones right there. But I think and I hope, which is again the wrong wording, but this could be just a reaction for the market to pull back, to create a higher low, and then to potentially strike higher. So this is my outlook on the UJ. It looks pretty bullish. Everything is pointing to the upside. We have some specific monthly highs and also weekly highs to attack, to serve as targets. The market has pushed, it has pulled back, it has held for a new higher low, and right now we are on our way to create a higher high. So let's see if this plays out. If you're already not in the train, then potentially pull back, higher low, and then you can take a long, targeting around 115.60. Let's have a look at the GBPs, as always, starting with GU. So slightly bit tricky to figure out what is going on this right now, but let's try to figure it out. Okay, monthly time frame, overall bullish, right? Overall bullish. Of course, we went to revisit this little wick, which is the cause of this whole pullback to the downside. But again, guess what? It could be just a pullback, because on the last break of structure on the monthly time frame is this one. Right there, we had a very clear pullback. We had a massive run into the highs. Okay, so pretty much our monthly range starts from the low all the way to the high. Right here, we pulled back beautifully below 50%, and yeah, pretty much we can say that GU could be ready to commit to the upside. Okay, so if I just very briefly drop this wick right there, and let's try to explore it on the weekly. Yeah, pretty much on the weekly, we also have this very big wick. Right, and we also have this bearish candle that serves as a pullback, but you can see we pretty much stopped right there. And let's try to examine what is actually happening. So what makes it tricky right now on GU is that we were coming from this weekly supply, and overall we were bearish for quite some time. We had a massive bull run, like from 20th of December, boom, 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 massive bull run right there. Then we had 2 massive bearish weeks, and we thought that the market is actually reversing, right? And I was looking to actually short this one. I was looking for another liquidity gap into the highs, and I was wondering why didn't it actually go? And it possibly is just the pullback right now to potentially strike higher and then to actually take this high. Okay, starting to frame a little bit of a bullish bias on GU. We also explored it in our weekly webinars with the team. We had a push, we had a little pullback right there with this candle, which was an inside bar. So if you consider this to be a lower high, then this trend has already changed, right? So we pulled back, and if you look at it like this, right, we can see that we already pulled back below the 50%, and we also kind of revisited 61.8, 705 Fibonacci pocket, which is what GU loves to pull back towards. And we kind of have a very nice bullish week right now. So the question is this a push and a pullback? Is this a lower high so we can attack the lows? Okay, or is this just responding? We're overall bullish on the monthly time frame. The market just responded from the weekly, created a pullback, and right now we can start heading higher. Okay, so those are my 2 major outcomes that I would love to actually see which one is going to play out. On the daily, we had a massive run to the downside, but then again, the market opens, massive bull run to the upside as well. Currently reacting from this guy, but again, is it just a reaction, or is it going to reverse and take out this low and then take out potentially this low? So this is what actually makes it tricky right now on GU, because there is no certain hard time frame bias for me right now. There is a battle between the weekly and the monthly. The monthly has very nicely pulled back. It's showing us a beautiful reaction, but still there is a lot of supply coming from the weekly time frame as well, which has not yet been invalidated. Okay, So currently on the daily, like we have this weekly push, we have this pullback, the market is actually pushing higher. If you consider this to be a pullback, we can already say that this is potentially changing the trend. And right now we can have a little pullback like this to potentially initiate higher. Okay, so many outcomes on GU, which is why I don't love it too much, especially right now, because then if you drop on the 4-hourly time frame, well, currently we can say that it is bearish, right? So pretty much we had this kind of zone, massive run into the lows. Where did the market respect? Well, we can say that it respected this little rally base rally. You can see how it actually stopped right there. And since then we had a massive bull run. And right now we kind of created a higher high, higher low, higher high. There it is, which makes our major higher low this one. And then the major higher low was broken on Friday. So this means that the 4-hourly right now is bearish. And then if I try to mark my lower high, well, it should be this one. Maybe we can take the wick just in case, like this. So pretty much we're short-term bearish, okay? Can we actually reverse into the highs, okay? If I just drop to the daily, there is not a very specific daily level that I would like to take. Something on the 8-hourly, nothing very specific on the 8-hourly as well. So guys, for me, GU is a little bit tricky. It's a little bit 50-50 right now. And what I would just prefer doing is just following the full hourly for now. I am aware that the monthly is overall bullish, that we have went all the way down right there, that we're starting to initiate higher potentially within the monthly time frame, okay? Still, the weekly supply reacted and we made a move lower, okay? But then this move lower should have been making new lower lows, okay? But what we have is new momentum to the upside, pullback, so we can start also framing some longs, okay? So I do believe right now, actually this week, the next week, we're really gonna see where GU is gonna go. So stay mindful of levels like this potentially that are coming from the downside as well. But short term, I think if the market pulls back right there, we can have some shorts, ride it into the downside. Don't go for huge targets, target a new lower low. Just take your profit somewhere right there. You can also drop a new range like this, which is incorrect because this push, yes, it broke 4-hourly structure and daily structure right there, but we're still within kind of the major one, okay? So a little bit of a confusion right now on GU, but again, let's give it some time and let's just wait for the 4-hourly to develop and let's just follow what the market tells us now, okay? And again, make sure you are aware of where it is on the weekly, on the monthly, but overall, I can say I'm starting to frame more bullishness than bearishness. So let's see how this one is going to play out. If we have a look at GJ, which is a favorite pair of a lot of you, well, this pair is overall bullish, right? We had a massive bull run. Then since April, we have been chopping around on this one since April. Wow. And yeah, we're just still stuck in this range. So nothing too much to extract actually on the monthly time frame from this one. On the weekly time frame, so we caused a break of a higher high, which makes our major low. The lowest point of the pullback, well, it could be this one. So this one actually held, it did not break. So technically we are bullish on GJ and we should be attacking the highs, right? We had a massive push, we had a nice pullback, and right now the market has printed a bullish candle on the weekly. So can we already start looking for longs on this one? We have this daily leg. Did it actually tap 50%? Yes, it did. I am seeing GJ as bullish, and the bullish UJ is also supporting this one. So I think we can frame buys rather than sells on this pair, although I don't trade it. And yeah, if we drop to the 4-hourly time frame, we have this very nice leg to the downside, which also had kind of a daily supply. I don't see it. Let's try the 8-hourly. Yeah, this I wanted to drop something like this, right? But as you can see, this one is invalidated right now. Okay, if we drop to the 4-hourly, we had this kind of trend, higher, 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 and just look, guys, it is creating higher low right there, higher lows right there, higher low here, higher low there, and potentially this could be a higher low just to continue trading higher. Okay, so I'm framing longs on GJ. The last demand for me, is this little demand right there. We are almost about to tap it. So let's see if we can actually pull back into it, have a little reversal, and then we can start heading higher. Okay, and even target a new higher high. If we also look at it from the other side, well, pretty much this market is in a consolidation right now. Okay, we were in a smaller consolidation. And right now, the consolidation just enlarged a little bit with this high right there. Okay, so pretty much we are in this sort of range. Shorter term, I can see buyers right now. And again, what I would do is, if you're confused on the higher time frames as well, I would suggest that you just stick to the 4-hourly and you just follow the trend until you're wrong. Right now it's bullish, so as long as we remain above this higher low right here, you can mark it with a line like this. As long as we remain above this low, I'm gonna be longing. Okay, so let's see how it actually opens. Let's see how what it does. I really like this supply. This is potentially where the market is reacting from. But look at the reaction. It formed in a very weak manner. It's very flat. So I do think this would be an amazing target for the market to smash to the upside. So I am framing longs on GJ, also starting to frame a little bit more longs on GU, which is not very ready though. GA, which is a pair again that I'm going to be removing probably, is overall bullish once again on the monthly time frame as well. This one looks good because on the monthly we had a breakup structure right there. The monthly retested this zone right here, and it's already actually making a new higher high. Okay, it's already making a new higher high, but we can expect for it to continue or as well initiate a pullback. So this is something that we have to be careful of. The weekly time frame has also shifted. We can see how we had this supply. The market responded from supply, but it was just a response. Then from demand to take over. So this is great confirmation for GA being bullish. And on the daily, we had this range. The market initiated higher. So this makes my major high low zone, this one. I'm taking it from this candle right here as well. The market pulled back and right now it's on its way towards creating a new higher high. If I then drop to the 4-hourly time frame, yes, we can potentially take this zone right there. You can see how it actually respected and we're already making the move higher. So yeah, I am also bullish on GA, expecting this high to be taken. And if you're trading it and if you want to jump on the train, then potentially you can just simply follow structure. I do believe the last higher low is this one. I'm not trading this pair once again. I don't know how it moves, but if I was trading it, I would attack it with something like this. Okay. So once again, framing everything on GA, it actually looks pretty bullish. So I'm long biased on it. You can just utilize my monthly and weekly time frame to just frame your own ideas. But yeah, GA has upside potential, and this means that AU can actually go down. And guess what? We were bearish on AU. So it pretty much aligns. Okay. And Euro GBP with the very hawkish Euro, with the very bullish Euro, we're having a massive expansion to the upside. The monthly candle is opening and we're already having a massive bullish engulfing candle, a weekly bullish engulfing candle. Okay, but still, we are about to encounter right now higher time frame supply. Okay, on the weekly. Daily, yep, daily is just about to tap it into it as well. The daily structure has changed massively, so pretty much I don't know what to expect on this guy. This is a very, very, very tricky pair, but we have officially broken some sort of major structure. And yeah, if this was a normal pair, then I would just look for a pullback and a continuation, which is what I would of course wait for. But after such huge moves, and especially on Euro GBP, I just hate this pair. Yeah, I would just give it some time, but this pretty much means that the Euro is much stronger than the GBP. Okay, which means that Euro USD can actually continue going higher, right? So let's see how this one goes. And pretty much this is my outlook on the GBPs, right? GJ is in a bullish market right now. GA is also bullish. GBP USD is bullish on the monthly. We started framing also weekly and monthly buys. It's not very ready yet on the 4H, so I think we're about to see this one this week. So stay focused once again, guys. Utilize your own intuition and your own analysis to frame your trades, and let's hope actually we're going to have some clear markets going forward on the GBPs. Let's have a brief outlook on gold. So pretty much gold is of course in this overall bullish moving market. Of course it has the aspects of the stock market overall moving higher, but currently we have entered into this accumulation phase, which we can similarly see right here. And we can of course see that the result was a little downtrend. So of course we can go and examine what exactly happened right there around 2012 that caused this move to the downside. Then we consolidate, but if you just put it together, you can see a push, consolidation, pullback. We see a push, consolidation, we can have a deeper pullback. And then of course we can continue higher, but of course times are different right now. So let's see what can happen. But yeah, overall gold has been stuck in this overall range. Of course, I know a lot of you are intraday trading gold, which is something that I don't do and I'm not gonna do, potentially because it's way too volatile for me. But on the monthly time frame, I cannot extract much. Like for the past few months, I can even say year, we are just stuck in this consolidation right there. So nothing too much can be extracted from this. Then of course, dropping onto the weekly, you can just see that the market is clearly ranging, and we can clearly see that around the midline, like the middle, how the market is just accumulating in the middle. So it's preparing for something. What is it? I don't know. But yeah, let's see what we can frame on a lower time frame, especially. Overall, I can see that sellers are pretty much in control. I haven't seen a high being breached, which would suggest that the market is actually bullish. The only one that was breached was this one, but this one was pretty kind of minor in the middle, right? So we just breached above, they immediately went down, and right now we're actually failing to break above it, which means that the market simply respected this guy right here. And I can actually just mark it like this. Let me maybe, yeah, I'm actually mark it like that. Then actually this one was respected from here. And you can see that actually we have this kind of downtrend going on right there, right? So, and from the downside, we have a little bit of buyers sending those wicks, but they always fail to break the high, which makes me think that gold is actually weaker. And what we see actually in the past couple of weeks, and actually, yeah, last week we had this very nice bearishness right there. Actually, the past week that responded from this little supply, and right now we're having a couple of days of a very complex and very weak pullback. So just taking this into consideration, I can frame sells on gold. It hasn't tapped into 50%. It is just reacting from this little drop-based drop kind of demand. First time, second time, third time right now. So is it ready to commit? Well, I don't know, right? This is for you to decide. But personally, I'm having a bearish outlook on gold, which means bullishness on the DXY, which is something that we actually did not expect, because we also expect EU to go long and DXY to potentially also go down. But this again depends on the interest rates, on the Fed. We're going to have huge months ahead of us. March is going to be very important for inflation, for the ECB as well, and for the Fed, because that is when potentially they're gonna hike the rate for the first time. So we're gonna have an exciting year ahead of us, all right? But gold short term for me is bearish right now, so you can start looking to short. I would love to see a slightly bigger pullback, maybe to retest actually this major level around 80.40 or something like this. And then from there we can short it, of course, into the bottom of the range. So keep in mind you're playing in the range right now. Okay, so you would like to sell from the top of the ranges, right? Rather than being stuck in the middle. So trading within these ranges right there is low probability. So make sure to actually follow the swings. You can see the swing right there, new swing right there, swing, swing, swing. So let's try to catch a new swing right there to potentially head into the lows. So we can then actually have a new kind of swing low from where we can actually go long. Okay. So overall, as I told you, gold is in a consolidation for me, but overall I'm framing sells. So this is my outlook. Let me know what you think about it. All right, let's have a look at indices and also some cryptos to have a look what those assets are currently doing. So pretty much in January, we had this bearish candle that actually resulted with a huge wick, right? So what do I tell you about wicks is that they tend to get retested roughly around 50%. So pretty much exactly 50% of this wick, I'm actually having a little bit of a demand zone. So let's actually have a look. How does that look like? On the weekly time frame, we're pretty much maintaining, creating higher highs and higher lows. We had this very sharp liquidity grab to the downside, which created a 10% drop on US30, which is actually very nice because the average is around 5. And of course, yeah, if we look from here, we had also 10% drop. And after the 10 to 11% drop, we had a massive expansion. And yeah, pretty much if you measure the average, this one is pretty much, yeah, 2018. This one was a bigger crash right there. But is the market really in a crash? We're currently in a very, very, very tricky situation because we're yet about to see what's going to happen. The labor market is pretty healthy. Everything looks healthy. Actually, companies are doing great. So I don't see a very big reason for the market to go into a crash. And I think this one was just like the earning report expectations, just the sentiment of hiking the rates, and pretty much the market was a bit extended. But we had the drop, we had the collection of some liquidity grabs right there. So we can start expecting the market to head higher. And as I told you, we have a 50% retracement of the monthly wick. So we can expect the market to come into this area right there. And this is where I would potentially be looking to long. And yeah, we have some sort of structural changes on the hourly time frame. We see that the market is starting to maintain the higher lows right there. So for me, this one right there will be a pretty nice area to be looking for longs. So let's see if actually next week we can have a little pullback then if US30 is gonna hold, and if we can start heading higher and potentially even targeting all-time highs, right? I'm pretty bullish. As long as we remain above this little pullback right there, then I'm gonna of course remain bullish. But if we start of course right now shifting to the downside, breaking below this supply, then of course we can start expecting a new drop to the downside. So I am bullish. US30 looks bullish. We also see a little bit of a recovery on Nasdaq. It pulled back all the way down, and actually Nasdaq suffered the most because some of the tech companies are actually having a big drop, and this is almost a 20% drop, which does not happen very often. It's an 18% drop, which is great for buying. We saw a little bit of a full hourly accumulation at the bottom. Then we of course pushed to the upside. We broke this sort of structure right there. We of course tapped into this supply, which is what I told you is a key level to actually break in order to fully say that we are bullish. But right now we are in this pullback, which we can drop this range. We're in this pullback. Of course, we can travel even lower towards these levels right there. So I'm pretty interested to see how this week and how this month is actually going to go, and if we're going to have a brand new uptrend introduced, which is going to mean that we can of course attack all of these highs right there, this one, and potentially go for a new all-time high. Okay, so looking forward to see if the market is actually going to change structure and start making bullish moves. If not, then we just keep shorting, and we of course keep buying more of those assets. S&P had a very nice reaction from the little demand right there. So right now the thing is, again, can we fill 50% of this wick so then we can expand higher, or of course are we gonna start creating a bigger pullback? This is the biggest question right now. Responded from this one right there, and as you can see, it did not really break any of those structures. It just wicked it. So still, I would love to see a tap of this wick right now so that we can actually collect what was left right there. The daily time frame, we're still kind of bearish in a push and a pullback. So again, is this just a pullback to create a higher high, or is this just gonna sell off? This is the biggest question right now for S&P. I'm invested, so I'm not touching it from right there because it's gonna be pretty much buying in the middle while I bought it from down there. So of course, if we revisit the lows, could be another stack, could be another monthly stack right there. But yes, we are, as I told you, we're yet to see if the market is gonna reverse. Pretty much, if I just examine where this 50% is on the 4-hourly time frame, yep, pretty much all the way down. So this will be a very nice and high probability area to be looking for buys. Okay, and yeah, let's see if we can actually have it. This sort of setup on S&P 500. Crypto's having a very nice run right there after accumulating for quite some time. Some of you might see your portfolios slightly green if you're investing properly, of course, and if you're not all in from some of the highest levels. And yeah, so it does look good. Pretty much we responded from this kind of monthly higher low formation because yeah, this one was with a wick, but this is the higher low according to me. So as long as we remain above 28.8, wow, what a beautiful round number right there. Is this? I just see this one. Is this how is this thing right here? It's just 28.8000. Very nice round number for the monthly higher low. So this is great. Then if we actually drop to the weekly, we can see we pull back all the way down and we're tapping into the weekly and the monthly demand, and we can see a reaction. But for me, the weekly lower high is this one. So as long as we remain below this one, I'm still a bear on crypto. I didn't buy it from here, to be honest. I missed this initial wick right there, so I didn't buy. But yeah, right now it's recovering, so we're yet to see if this one is gonna turn bullish. Let's see. Still, what I have is this little big range on the weekly. We also can refine it to the daily and to the hourly. We're just yet about to tap. We can see that the market is changing the structure from the 4H. It's slightly bit weaker, accumulating. Right now we have a very nice bull run. So let's see if we're gonna have a pullback, a hold of the bull run, and then if we can start continuing higher, which will be lovely. I think this is a good sign to potentially start looking for longs. I think a lot of people right now are gonna get excited and start getting long, which can result in another manipulation into the lows. All right, so stay mindful, guys. Be careful with crypto once again. But we're having some signs for potential bullishness. But of course, right now we're going to be encountering this big guy right there. So let's see. Be careful. And also Ethereum, after tapping 22 right there, also on the monthly time frame, we're having our higher low. Let's see if our higher low is a very nice round number. The lowest number is right there. Yeah, look at that. Wow, this is not a coincidence, right? 17.0, exactly the lowest point of the monthly pullback, and then heading higher. Are the higher highs also like this? Okay, the higher high is not like this. Cool. But yes, jokes aside, we pulled back. We kind of came in inside this wick right there. We tapped inside, monthly candle, rejected, and right now we're heading higher already. So we're yet about to encounter this weekly supply, all right, that we're just about to tap inside. I kind of pissed that I didn't buy Bitcoin at around 32 and this one at 22. That would have been nice for some quick profit taking right now. But yes, as you can see, overall, the 4-hourly time frame has changed and we are seeing some bullish flow, right? We can see that the market created this low, then broke this major lower high, higher low, higher low, higher low. So we can have another higher low and we can just continue higher. Right now, we are about to encounter a very major level as well, which is this one. So let's see how this one is going to go this week, this weekend, and this month actually. And is this the end of the bearish run on crypto? Can we start making new higher highs? Wow, I would love this. So let's see. Let's not get too optimistic because this is crypto and we never know. This one can just run into the highs. But I think we've had enough of a downtrend. Again, depending on how you invest, if you really went all in at the top and you kept buying and buying and buying and buying, right, at levels that were not very proper. My last buy was from right there, right? I'm still holding this one, right? It's just an investment in the asset, not in terms of leverage. But I think a lot of people are being stopped out if you use leverage. So yeah, let's see how this one is going to go. Let's see how the indices are going to go. Let's see if the assets are going to start improving and growing. And of course, let's see how the currencies are going to go. And this is how I'm going to wrap up this very long weekly outlook and setups, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash the like button. Of course, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the upcoming content. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments as well. And if you're watching this in the weekend, I wish you an amazing weekend. It's great that you prepared your chart right now. And if you're watching this during the week, I hope you actually crush it and have an amazing February ahead of you.